Well, welcome to a windy but sunny day. Audio is going to be difficult with this one. Today we're going to work on this. We're going to do the clutch master cylinder. If we can get near it and get good audio. It's going to be raining for the next week, and it's been raining for the last 3 months. So today's the day. We've got to do it, wind or not. See how we go. So as usual, we're going to spread out our tools and make sure we have everything first. We have our clutch master cylinder, have an oil injector syringe, we have a spare one. I have some flare nut spanners, some Barco ratchet ring spanners. We have our, what's this, our King Chrome ratchet, sockets, zip ties, the big shifter just in case something doesn't go as planned. Big set of spanners I probably won't need, pry bar I probably won't need, and brake fluid. Now I'm using dot 5.1, which is I probably should be using dot 4, but this is apparently suitable for dot 4 applications, and it's what's already in the lines. So the idea is we're going to replace our clutch master cylinder, then we're going to crawl under and reverse bleed the system. Hopefully that fixes the problem, because otherwise it's going to be a long day and needs 2 people. So anyway, let's get these tools moved, get this bonnet up and start getting this thing off. So we're over on the GoPro now, and before everybody shoots me, I should probably tell you this is the first time I've ever had to do this. I am going to have to do it again on the 4-wheel drive. I've got 2 of these things. So this bit, the bolts were never on it, so we can easily just swing that out of the way. Firstly, the thing we need to do is take this line off, which is where the flare nut spanners come in handy. 12 is not quite right, let's try 11. 11 feels like a pretty good fit. I'll bet you these are Imperial, and I can't get to them. It's in a dick of a spot. Alright, because of the vacuum lines here, I can only get like a quarter or an eighth of a turn each time. Well, that was a good swing. Now there's a bit of brake fluid on it. It's going on very easily. Alright, we've got our line off here. That's good. Now we can go inside and take the 6 bolts off. But before we do, I'm going to put a little bit of WD on these. Hopefully just to free them up a bit. And yes, there are better products to use than WD-40, but this is what I have at the moment. Let's go lefty loosey. See if we can loosen you up. That one. I'm going to loosen them all up, and then I might get the rattle gun onto them. But I like to just feel that they will turn before I start destroying things with a rattle gun. See if we can pull one out. We'll do it on the minimum setting, which is number 1, reverse. Make doubly sure it is reverse so we don't over tighten things. There we go, that one's out. Alright, so I did bump the pedal a little bit, and now there's brake fluid coming down. We expected that. I probably should have emptied the reservoir first. Now I'm going to pull this guy off the spring here so we don't lose it. Probably take the spring off as well. Now we've got to get this guy out, which is going to be a little bit of fun. Yeah, this cap is a bit shagged as well. This whole cylinder needs replacing. Alright, now I don't want to bend that line too much, but I'm probably not going to have a whole lot of choice here to get it to fit around everything when I pull this out. Now this is the whole assembly. Should pull clear here, and we should be able to bring it out foot pedal and all. This is the tricky bit. It's getting the actual pedal out. Might have to pull the rubber bit off it. Simple jobs turn into all day jobs because a little this. I need to go swear for a bit.
20 minutes later.
Alright, so I got it off. So I had to go away and swear for a bit, but I got it. And I basically decided that the whole reason I couldn't get it out is because I was sacrificing a particular movement. I was trying not to move the pedal so that it didn't pump fluid out everywhere. And then I realized that that is pretty much an inevitable thing. I can't help that. Anyway, this little plate here is a little on the bent side. we will probably straighten that up. Deal with it. That has a flat blade screw. I'm not going to disturb that. I don't need to. There are 2 nylocks that hold this in and a couple of nuts in here, which I can see have rattled loose, which would explain a lot. So this bit here is the set screw for the pedal travel. Try not to interrupt that. So we won't be adjusting that. Basically need to take a couple of nuts off here and a couple of bolts off there. Yep. So it's just the slow way with nylocks. I guess it wasn't going to rattle off. Now I better hope that that isn't a bolt on the inside turning. It is! How am I going to get a socket into that?
Many tic tacs later.
So my profuse swearing just then prompted my financial manager to remind me that I have a set of nice little narrow long sockets, which are probably ideal for this. So I was wrong, there probably is a slightly quicker way to do this. Nothing like Land Rovers to teach you to use your full repertoire of your vocabulary. There's one nut and bolt out with a washer. Now we're going to flip this over and get the one on the other side. 100% going to swear at this one because it looks even worse. So how am I going to get to this one? Well, I guess I might be able to do this the other way around and put the socket on that one. If I push the pedal back and pump brake fluid all over my device and then put the ring spanner end on this one, that might do it. So this is on tight by the feel. Yeah, there we go, it was on tight. And ring spanner. Well, it's coming free, but we will persevere. There we go. Okay, we'll get that bolt out in a minute. Now we need to undo the 2 nuts at the top. Now, one reason I wanted to do things the way I did is now I have lots of free loose or free play in this, and I can slop this around and get these nuts off really easy from in here. I do, however, need 2 hands, so I'm going to do that, put a camera in a different position, and hopefully we can understand what's going on. Alright, see, these are probably fairly loose given that I've been finger tightening them for the last couple of weeks. What I'm doing here is turning the nut when I grip it, loosening the pliers, and just advancing along in a little sort of ballet style method here. She's almost there, guys. Just a little bit more of using my fingers here. Alright, there we go. Old master cylinder out. Alright, and we definitely want that bush, but there's definitely something wrong with this. I'm pretty sure that shouldn't be happening. We will dissect this in a bit. This was an Australian made one though. Alright, so we've removed the boot, and I've tried to get this nut off, but there's a damaged piece of thread right here and another piece right there. That might explain the difficulties I've had adjusting this up. Might grab my trusty hacksaw here and cut that off to get the thread out. And I punched the bloody... It's always the problem, you do this if you're going too quick. Alright, so we got the nut off, and I can see there is a crimped fitting in here. Well, it looks like a bit of a ball joint, I guess, to account for a little bit of play. But this cylinder feels very chunky, and it feels like the rubber's probably gone in it. There's definitely something wrong with it anyway. So let's get the new one on. Alright, now we unbox a new one thanks to KLR Auto, and their part number is STC500100. Pop you open. Here is our newie. Right, and we have some destruction notes in here, and our cap should be much better. It's not missing the parts the other one was. I actually like the look of this better. This is the slightly more expensive one, and considerably easier to push in, so yeah, this might be some of our issue. Alright, we've got most of the junk off it. That should fit in, and good news, the hole spacing is the same. And it's not badly rusted, so we should be pretty good. But let's see if we can position this in the vise in a way that we can hold it onto it. Alright, now what we need to do firstly before we do that, we need to put one nut behind. I'm going to need a screwdriver to shift that over, or at least that. There we go. There is some sort of reinforcing washer or nut in there that I don't fully understand, but first time for everything. There we go, that goes in now. The washer and the other nut on loosely so that this doesn't fall on the floor, and that should hopefully allow me to position the bolts. Now the bolt, which the bolt obviously goes from the inside, owing to previous experience, I will lend to the experience of the experts that had their hands on this before me. We need to be able to maneuver this around, and this is going to be a royal pain in the rear to try and get this guy through the hole. Now I should probably do this with long nose, but I'm lazy and don't want to go and get them, and that is one of the reasons why it's now jammed in there. We want to put ring spanner on the back, and we want to get exactly 0.8 of a turn each time. This is going to be a long day. This action seems strangely familiar for some reason. Not that long a bolt. There we go. Alright. You don't need to over tighten it, it's a nylock. Just firmly. Over tightening stuff, you're going to regret it later on for so many reasons. Now we're over this way. Ring spanner on the nylock nut. Socket in there. Now I'm going to have to go and look up a video on this bit, because this is where my experience starts to dry up, as to how to set this pedal here. They said something about winding this all the way to the end of its adjustment, pushing it to the stop, winding that up to the end of it, just with a little bit of play, and then winding this up behind it. I think that's what they said, but I will have to go check, and I'm going to have to get another spanner in here to do this properly anyway. So see how we go. There's something so unwholesomely simple that I never ever spotted when I was doing this, and it's bloody obvious now. Look at it. Shove a 13mm socket through that hole that's right in line with it, and you can get hold of that end nut, and then you can tighten this up. Why did I never see that? I mean, I'm going to need a flare nut spanner to do that, but why did I not see that? Okay, so I went away and did some homework, and I will link the video I used to reference, or that I've referenced in this. I will link that in the bottom. Now basically we're winding this forward. I have foot pedal in the vise so this can freely move. I've pushed this down so it hits the stop, which is this thing here, which I haven't adjusted, and I wind this down till it just touches the end of that pedal, and then I wound this one up to meet it while it's against that stop. So I'll tighten them up in a moment, but that should be pretty good. And we've got a bit of movement. That feels about 100 times freer than the other one. Once these are tight, there's also some squeaky noises coming out of it. I'm not sure if it's the spring or if it's this, but I'll try and do something about lubrication of the hinges while I'm in here. I might spray some spray pack chain oil in there or something, some good sticky stuff. Get it all lubed up after I've tightened it, and we should be good to start putting it back in the vehicle. How on God's green earth did I still not know that you could whack a socket in here? I feel somewhat special right now. Well, by the classical sense of that, I probably am, being high-functioning autistic. Anyway, they're firm enough that they're not going to rattle loose. Pedal box can move. Let's pull this up a bit. Alright, a bit tighter. Alright, the mechanism works, and that is so much better than it was before, albeit it's got no fluid in it, but definitely the other pedals are shagged. Alright, so this is the chain oil I use on my 8-wheel drive amphibious vehicle. This is good tacky stuff that'll stay on there for a long time. Alright, hopefully reduce the wear. Okay, everybody's favourite part, putting it back in. I need to do a little bit of prep first, and I've got to take a photo. I'm going to get onto the Perentie Owners Australia page and post did the clutch delete post. Give us a sec. Alright, let's see if we can get this guy back in. Probably the correct way round might be sensible too. I don't really need a backwards clutch pedal. That could be a bit problematic. Now, definitely needs 2 hands for this, and I don't want to pull my vacuum line off. Let's try the stupid method. That does feel like a very stupid method. It's things like this are the reason why I'm not a mechanic. These are the things that make me lose my absolute shit with a vehicle. And in that one moment, I have to check a different thing when I declare if I put profanities in the video. But I think the camera is probably disrupting my thought process here, so I'm going to turn the camera off and I'll figure this out, and then I'll explain how I got it in once it's done. Well, you know how I said I was going to do this on the only dry day of the week? Well, it's bloody raining again. Yay! Right at the point where I now can't drive this. So I was just gearing up to put the bonnet down, go inside and start swearing. I thought I'd put this in a position that looked kind of stable so it wouldn't fall through the floor. And it just fell through the hole and seated itself perfectly. No NFI how that happened, but don't ask me how. But it's lined up to the bolt holes exactly. Alright, that's good. Alright, I think we're in. Oh, right, now let's do this. This was key to getting it actually in and out. I am going to take this rubber pad inside and degrease it, take the brake fluid off it, because brake fluid will dissolve my shoe soles in some cases. Although I have oil resistant ones, my financial manager probably does not. So we'll clean that pedal up before we put the rubber block back on. Now, before we reverse bleed, of course, I need to hook up the line. So let's put this guy in the hole and find our 11mm flare nut spanner. I just hope that the threads match. I really, really hope the threads match this. Alright. Are you telling me that that doesn't fit after all this crap? Oh my god. You have to be kidding me. That doesn't fit the bloody line. Alright, you remember how I said I was going to get roasted in the comments? Well, some of you that have probably been observant noticed this adapter here. I got onto a couple of the Perentie groups and said, how the hell do I fix this for under 80 bucks? And they said, pull the adapter off your old one. Totally did not see that. So I'm going to do what they say and pull the adapter off the old one. I think that's a 3/16 to 1/4 inch. Anyway, let's get that off and on there, and then we can get this thing working. Oh, what do you know? It fits. And I can't get the freaking spanner on it. But I feel that's firm enough. Any more than that, I think I'm going to strip it out. Right. We're in fairly firm there. About as firm as I feel I should go. Alright. Clean that lid off. We're going to loosen that a bit to allow a bit of air out. Now we're going to crawl under and try and reverse bleed. So, bit of a problem with this plan. And the fluid is so thin that it's actually slipping past the seal in this. So this is not really going to work to reverse bleed. Now there are reverse bleed kits that some insane idiot decided would be worth $1,800 at Repco. Very similar thing for 160 bucks, a super cheap auto. Problem is, between pay weeks, I don't have that. We're going to have to just bleed this the normal way. So I'm going to top up the top of this with brake fluid, try and get my financial manager to do the clutching for me. And we might attach this bit of hose to the end so that we don't blind myself with brake fluid this time. I have a longer length of this, so let's try that. Okay, so put your foot down on the clutch. Yep, put it down and hold it down. Alright, now lift your foot. Alright, put your foot down. Yeah. Lift your foot. Alright, foot down. Alright, lift your foot.
One eternity later.
And we think we've got it bled. It gurgled a little bit at one point, so I may have sucked a bit more oil, a bit more water in, but fluid wasn't looking great either, so probably needed a change. Alright, time to get out from under here. Alright, test drive time. And we're probably going to need to wash off all the brake fluid off the side here. Might stop at the car wash for a couple of minutes. Alright, turn everything on. Test drive to the car wash and back.
Yeah,
Alright.
but we don't have to wash.
We won't have to wash much. We just got to. I've got my apprentice on board. We won't have to wash much, just the brake fluid off. There's my seatbelt buckle. Alright.
Yeah.
See if the clutch actually works. Oh. 2 years we've dealt with that. Ah, and I don't need a double clutch.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so happy. Can make this so much easier to drive. Third to fourth, beautiful. Let's downshift. Downshifting is a lot easier too now. We definitely had master cylinder problems.
Yay! Yay!
Up in, we're going to go. Alright, car wash done. Made tracks. Oh, it's so much easier to get into gear. Oh, I thought I'd done something wrong. It was just the car wash timing out. But yeah, it's so much easier to get into gear. Alright. First to second's really good now. That's usually the hardest one. Yeah, and if I double clutch on third, it just sucks it in. That's how it should be. That's how it is on my 4x4. So the 6x6 behaving the same way tells me I've got something right. Although I do have to do this on the 4x sometimes. We've got a lunatic driver. It's going to cut the lines. Into gear now. That master cylinder definitely had problems. Okay, so we're back at my desk. We've done our clutch master cylinder change. I've had about as much brake fluid as I can handle for a day, so I'm not going to do an autopsy on the old cylinder just yet. But safest to say the results are good. It's still a much heavier clutch in the 6-wheel drive because of the additional weight than the 4-wheel drive, but the gear changes are smooth and fluid. I think what was happening previously is I would put my foot on the clutch and the clutch fluid was seeping past the cylinder, which meant that the longer I held that clutch on, the more clutch drag I was getting. So those longer, slower gear changes were more difficult. So I think I've solved my problem now. I can hold my foot on the clutch and it doesn't drag anymore. And I think also the fluid slipping past the cylinder as I'm pushing it in was also creating some clutch slipping issues as well at the wrong time. So in any case, that could also have been my adjustment of that in trying to compensate for something I didn't really understand. I expect to find that either the rubber is perished or the cylinder itself is pitted or scoured, something like that. In any case, I hope you enjoyed watching me swear at stuff and make stupid mistakes, but I learnt from it. and the next one hopefully will be easier. So we'll see you in the next video.